Green has become our color.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts, Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yang,
I hope you are all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 120 of Getting Tabled with your host, the Bruce.
Hello, folks. I was accused of being my own housemate this week because this is not possibly my face. It's somebody else entirely. We also have with us the main man. He used to be a captain. I've called him many things, but he belongs to a force that recently lost. It's Major Socks.
Yeah, if you guys didn't notice, Air Force got beat by Army, and it wasn't just a little beating, it was a big beating.
That's because all that the Air Force do all day is sit in chairs, where the
But
Army actually do real things.
So the sad thing is we were undefeated up until this game, and we get lost by 22 points. So
It doesn't matter because they're only playing a silly sport, which is just dumb. So it's not like it's a real sport anyway.
And let's be honest, Socks, if like an actual like combat were to happen between the Air Force and the Army, the Air Force would lose.
I should be careful calling gridiron not a real sport. I will have people try to kill me.
Yeah, you will. And we got George, do you have snow
Who?
up there in George? Does he have snow up there?
No, actually, I do not have snow.
It's a day
wow.
ending in Y. Of course he has snow. But it's just not inside. It's all outside.
Yeah.
Real quick, because I keep forgetting to do this before I push the button. This episode is being sponsored by Valhalla Hobby. Use code GT2305 to get 5% off any order over $100. That's GT2305 at valhallahobby.com.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
Who's this TTCombat?
Just some small company up there in England.
Somewhere.
And we are starting with what I shared earlier in the week, saying, ha, I was right, because I totally called this. You guys may remember me calling this on an episode when we were looking at photos of a team that was being released, that they were about to release an arena, because the pictures were taken very clearly on
The arena.
On the arena. Now, apparently this actually appeared at an event. I don't remember what the event was. But somebody did say that they had been helping build it for the event. So this is not the first time they had shown it, but this is the first time that they have shown that it's a real product that we can buy as opposed to just something temporary for events.
And it looks nice.
Not only does it look nice, it's dirt cheap.
I have one little tiny complaint about it from what I know about wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ramp that goes down. This ramp just goes straight across.
Not always. It depends on the arena.
Not always? Oh.
No. This, at least to my eyes, resembles the AEW arenas, which is probably the most modern looking of all of them, to be fair.
All right.
It all depends.
All the stuff I'm used to seeing is they've got the ramp going down, and then they're down at ground level. Then they have to go up into the ring.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, so.
For what's supposed to be a fantasy realm to it, probably makes a bit more sense to build it this way from a fantasy. I mean, not that they can't build ramps, but it would be easier to build a platform.
Yeah.
I really like what they've done here, honestly. Like, the arena, like, it looks like one of those really big deluxe Blood Bowl arenas that you would have back in the day. More on that in a minute.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The other thing that's really cool about this is the size of it.
Yeah.
2 feet by 2 feet. That's not huge.
No, not at all. Like, can you imagine, like, your characters breaking out of the ring and then fighting around the arena? That would just be so much fun. I want to see them do a backstage for this too now. Like corridors and stuff for the back alley brawl sets. That would be fun. So yeah, I really like this.
Do you know what I want to see? I want to see someone take one of these and make a display board, like with their Rumble Slam team, but then have the audience filled with hobbits.
I have some Hobbit Rumble Slam miniatures. That I could
Oh,
do
that's
that.
funny. Oh, that'd be funny.
And I mentioned more on Blood Bowl in a second because we have a football stadium as well, which is like it's totally not for Blood Bowl, but let's be honest, this is for Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
It's very similar to what we were just looking at, except it's a football pitch and there's another end on the other side of it.
You've totally got like, a dugouts for your teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With the correct symbols. I mean, it is a little pricier at 74 pounds.
Well, there's more of it too, though.
Well,
it's
there's more
game.
of it. There's more of it, with the exception of you don't have a field.
True.
So
that is true.
That's.
I wonder if they'll.
But they probably can't have a field without Games Workshop saying you can't do that.
You can't use that.
I mean, there are other companies that are doing fields, but I don't know if it would be worth them doing one. There's so many of them out there already.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing at that point is like you're just doing a board with a grid on it. Like, what's there interesting to do about that? Or with that, right?
Make it so it interlocks together and it sits nice and securely and firm and doesn't slide.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be the only one huge major advantage.
Yeah,
probably not worth the concept of getting the card stock and everything to make a board with, making the board, printing, assembling, and then selling.
Yep. I would probably say that the Football Stadium is better value, just purely from an MDF perspective. You're getting a lot more MDF here. Like, I would say that that's probably double what you're getting in the other one. But it's also a more simple design. There's not quite as many angles and stuff in this.
Yeah, I actually do have a bit of a complaint. That does what I would say would affect gameplay. Looking at the picture where you see all the pieces, it's showing the dugout where you would have like your player board information. They're showing it on either end.
Yep.
When I've played Blood Bowl, I've always played it like this, where they're here and then the field is going long ways. That's my one complaint. Like, I've never played Blood Bowl long ways. I've always played it, short ways across from the opponent, like you would an actual
watching football game.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is a good point. Also,
no, I mean, it does show it being very modular, but then if you look at the second picture, it looks like the ends are pretty like set as they are, so you might not be able to move those. Which,
yeah. There's also the question of whether like the numbers and stuff for the scores. I'm just sitting here going, I don't know if they should be facing in. I think they should be facing out towards where you're going to be sitting. Because almost regardless of where you sit, that's not going to be like it should be facing outwards, right? But then I guess if you're sitting on the long end, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be sideways anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Just a thought. I thought it was a good addition to the line though.
I mean, it's neat and it looks well done. I think there could be a couple of improvements to make it a little better and more usable for a game.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Moving on. First of the miniatures for the day, we have Mr. Sock, and anybody that's a fan of 90s wrestling will know what this is, because this is Mankind but in reverse. So Mankind was a wrestler called Mick Foley, and he had literally a sock puppet that he did in a skit that just went really well, and then he used it as a weapon forever. Where basically this old dirty gym sock would get used to strangle people with, or shove down their throat, actually.
Just to give you an idea how much the internet has ruined me, do you know what I first thought of when I saw a sock?
Our friend?
No.
Oh, thanks.
Something that you're not going to say on podcast, I suspect, and you're just going to make it by not saying it.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
No,
that's
many teenagers have a sock.
I've never understood that reference. Anyway. I like this. It's like it's very silly, which is very Rumble Slam.
It's very fun.
Yeah, I like the sock is the wrestler and the wrestler is the puppet. Like that, it's just such a silly idea.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. I love it.
Here's what I'm gonna tell our resident sock.
Mm.
You have to get this mini, and you have to paint it with an Argyle pattern on it.
Actually, he does need to do that. It's a requirement, socks.
If you do not, we are kicking you off the podcast.
It's okay. We don't have a podcast to kick him off. We do have a podcast, though. There is also the rest of the team to go with it, which is the House of Talent. When they were advertising this on Facebook earlier in the week, they were talking about how... it actually says it here. Not every Rumble team plays fair, but the House of Talent have no need for underhanded tactics, unless you count Shoko's second pair of arms underneath. So, yeah, it's just a really talented group of wrestlers, I guess. Nice, different looking. I like the fact that they're very old. Like, it's all very different wrestlers too. I don't specifically see anybody that's references to people I recognize. I'm sure there are some amongst them somewhere, but I don't specifically see references to, because most of these are based on people. Well, not all of them. A lot of them are based on real people. But
let's be honest. Wrestling is such a
Actually, Shokan Officer is a reference to Mortal Kombat.
I was gonna. Wrestling is such a form of art entertainment at this point that it'd be silly to not tap into what they've already done.
Yeah,
changing enough to not be told, stop and run with it.
I think Shokan in this group is probably my favorite too.
I like the halfling doing the backflip with the Kate as as a support.
Yeah.
Yep.
That one looks nice too.
I only have one criticism on this, which is that it's basically a resculpt of something they've already done. There is a halfling team that has a pose that's nigh on identical to this, but male instead of female. That's the only criticism I've got. Moving on. We also have a new faction coming out for Carnivale, because it's a new week and therefore we need a new Carnivale team. These are the Sins of the Flesh. So this is for the for the patricians. There seems to be a cannibalistic type thing going on with this group, given that this guy, has an arm that he's very clearly been chewing on. This dominatrix in the center literally has a man following around on his knees, which is just...
What about the dude coddling a limb?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, yeah.
Oh, that's a leg, not an arm.
Well, there's the big fat guy that's chewed off an arm.
Yeah, that's around his face. I love that he's wiping his jaw, like his mouth. That's just so cool. I like these guys.
Who here's Red Sandman? Neil Gaiman?
I haven't read it, no. I do know what it is.
Have you listened to the dramatized audio?
No, I watched it, though.
So, the dude with the knife wiping his mouth, that is screaming Roderick Burgess at me for some reason. Because in the book, he's described as a bald, fleshy man.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but he's just... That miniature screaming that. And the way you said the patricians at the beginning or whatever, that's how Neil Gaiman, did some of the... Or, no, the voice actor for that character sounded like what you did. And so it all came together unintentionally, Bruce. Well done. Yes, that.
Yeah, I really like this, honestly. It's a cannibalistic cult. It's something we haven't seen yet. And, I mean, there is a lot of Carnivale out there at this point. The fact that they continue to find things that we haven't seen yet is a really cool thing. It's just a setting that seems to invite lots of really different things, I suppose. And, of course, we've got to love the fact that the rich are the most corrupt in the society. Also, in this game, they are too.
I was gonna say, life imitates art, art imitates life. So it's like.
And then finally, from TTCombat, we have some new Japanese buildings. These actually got teased earlier in the week. I think I'm pretty confident and comfortable saying that these are the best Japanese buildings they've done. I own quite a few of their older Japanese buildings, honestly, and these, the pagoda in particular, is phenomenal.
So this may sound kind of weird because that is the most iconic and traditional looking building you see from the feudal Japanese culture as those temples like that.
Yep.
But the 2-story buildings from Old Town Street in Old Town,
yeah, that's really nice too.
That's something you just don't see a lot of from the era of the feudal Japanese era is multi-story buildings, unless it's the temple.
Yeah. Like the dojo is something that we also see a lot of in MDF type buildings, but the Old Town stuff in particular, you're right, is stuff that generally speaking we don't see a lot of. Like
and
the sumo stage,
it's not 2 stories, so yeah.
Like the sumo stage is something that we've kind of seen a few versions of. I still love it. Obviously the
gates.
The gates we see everywhere. That is a lot better than their old version of the gate, because they've done versions of these in the past. I don't know if this means that they're getting rid of the previous stuff, but this is certainly, like, the ones here that are replaced, that are new versions of stuff they've done before, all of them are better. And given that these appear to actually be proper sloping roofs, I suspect that's where a lot of your difficulty's coming from too. Because by the look of it, they are multi-piece. That doesn't look like it's... There's no way they're going to have that curve in it if it's... Unless it's a fake curve. No, because the temple roof definitely curves. Yeah, no, they're multi-piece. It's definitely multi-piece. Which makes it difficult too. Yeah. That's going to be where your difficulty building comes from.
The one thing that just kind of drives me a little nuts too with some of this TTCombat terrain is when they do a new like release or like theme, it's like for right around $100-ish you can get the entire set, like the pup walkway stuff, like all of that was like right around 100 for the set they released. This feudal Japan stuff, it's right around 100. It's like they put it at a very nice price point of, look how much you get for this, you could just order all of it,
and then it adds onto your pile of unbuilt stuff. Not that I would know anything about that with my multiple boxes of unbuilt stuff. I wouldn't know anything about that at all. Stop looking at me like that, George. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm actually looking at the instructions at the moment and very quickly going through just to see if my assumption is correct. But it looks like... Okay, so it looks like the... So don't bend. It looks like the roofs are actually flat. It's an illusion. Okay. It's a well-built illusion. Very well built. Oh, hang on. That was the side bit. Still, gee, these instructions are long. I'm
she said.
About halfway through at this stage, and I'm at page 80. Just to give you an idea of how, like, there's a reason these steps are pointed out to be as difficult as they are. Yeah, no, they're one piece, so it's the curve is an illusion. Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very good illusion, and that's not criticism. It's just like that's how it is. Moving on.
Yeah, I already peeked at this. This looks good.
Yeah. So, Rampant Designs are building a game called Acheron's Fall, which, for those that don't know, is a space combat game based in the world of Infinity. This is an Infinity game, and the the first game coming from the Infinity world that's not being done by Corvus Belli themselves. Which is something that I find very interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's nice to see a company not willing to push themselves to the point of maybe not being able to keep up. Because I don't see any other reason why they would do this. I could be wrong. I just don't understand any other reason why they would have chosen to let somebody else do it. I mean, they would still make a license fee out of this, obviously, but it's also a game that's very different from everything they've ever done, so maybe it doesn't fit within their rules ideas.
Yeah, I was going to say, and looking at this too, like, yes, it has that Affinity look and feel, and it says there, yes, this is licensed. It looks like this has been more intentionally, like, this is just a board game. This is not a miniature, Infinity, Warhammer, whatever type game. Like, it's got more of the socks, the movement token or movement rod things for Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, the little
templates.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Attack Wing, Star Wars Attack Wing, or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's
like it looks.
Let's be fair. That's the better way of doing it, generally.
I'm not going to disagree. Like just look at some of the images they got here, where it's like you've got that movement template. Like that looks really good. That's a little more, in my opinion, easier for like a new player or not a seasoned player to wrap their head around.
Yeah. In the video, in the first 20 seconds of the video, it actually says it's in collaboration with Corvus Belli.
Well, it would have to be because it's a license.
Yeah, correct. So
I really like the way that this game looks. I obviously don't know how it plays at this stage. It looks like it's going to have quite some depth in it. It also looks like it's going to be very token heavy. The thing I do know about this is like you have to actually allocate your energy to certain things because your ships can't do everything all at the same time. And larger ships will have more power to spread out. And so, like, if you know that you're going to be attacked, you'll probably put a lot more in shields. Or if you know that you're going to take them out, you might risk putting all of it in weapons. But you can't really afford to do both.
So actually, on a related note to that, if you go down to the core box includes, you got the 4 detail plastic miniatures, the vector, the perforated boards, and then you have the 4 ship panels, right? One for each ship.
That's what I was trying to.
That right there, that is what they need to be doing for Drop Fleet.
I will say yes, but I would say in a different way.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, like it could actually obviously be smaller. Like this is more for a board game. This is a board game dashboard. But this is like a Dreadnought. Like there's no reason why you couldn't have like a 3x5 dashboard.
Yeah,
for
make it a playing card size, or let's be realistic, it would probably have to be a tarot card size.
Yeah.
Or just printable. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody from the community eventually does this themselves. But throw it on the website, and then you can make money by having premium versions of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Like nice acrylic looking things where like you got little bits for the counters that you've made, and I think it could work really well. I like what these guys are doing here. It seems to be spread out quite
absolutely
nicely.
Yeah.
Like this, I think you're right. It does feel more board game than miniature war game because you don't have the same sort of ships that you would in a fleet battle type thing. This is very much maybe it looks like it's like 1 to 3 ships aside at the most.
Well, and if you look at the core box, right, you got 4 ships.
Yeah,
that's what you've got. There's no like it is what it is, right? And they show those 4. Then the last wave, you've got 4 more ships, and then you got the blockade runners. You've got more ships. It's like there's no modularity or like I want to build it this way. You get these ships, you put them on a post, you play.
Yeah.
So
because the modularity is done in the power. I like what they're doing with the power structure. Like the whole idea that like basically you're doing Star Trek with it, right? Where you're having to like all power to shields, all
Allocating
power to
shields,
weapons, and like it makes
engines,
a lot
whatever.
of sense.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that they're using mostly Infinity miniatures in their size comparisons as well, because that obviously feels more in-game. Oh no, there is actually a Takul one in there as well. I stand corrected. And then you have, in comparison to a Star Destroyer. No, I really like what they're doing here. It's going to be interesting to see how it turns out. I didn't even look at what the cost was, actually.
185 for an all-in right now, so
That's
not
pretty
terribly
good.
expensive either.
That's 185
euro.
Euro.
So, still, all things considered, less than 200 for everything that they've got so far.
Yeah. How long does this have left? 4 days left. So
4
you've only
days.
got a few days left. We will move on. Spectre Miniatures have some new stuff coming. Well, the new stuff that's here. This was all released in the last week or so. This first one is the iconic Killer Crew, which either are your horror characters come to life, or more realistic. Let's be honest. This is a gang that's brought masks to hide their identity, and they're just wearing them while they rob or whatever it is that they're trying to do. They're simple. Like, they do look like it's just people that's thrown masks on. It looks like straight out of a video game type thing. I think it looks really, really cool. This feels weird for me to say, but I think the Michael Myers one might be my favorite. Normally, it would.
I'm actually a little disappointed in the Michael Myers one.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't have a giant, huge bayonet sticking off the end of the rifle.
Okay. Would a modern miniature be doing that in a street setting?
Why not? Bayonets are still part of a standard issue for infantry units.
Okay. So M16s would have a bayonet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. This is why I'm asking.
Yeah. No, that's why I'm saying, like, they have the capability for it. I'm surprised Michael Myers does it. It's Michael Myers. Like, he likes his knives.
Mm. True. It depends on what the guy, like, because if it's about shooting, then that would be kind of pointless, though. These guys, this game is actually done by vets too, so they would be picking what works in the scenarios quite well, I imagine. But I don't know. I don't know. We also have the American Police. These are actually 3D printed models that you can buy as well. So these are ones that you would be printing yourself. I think if you look down at the actual 3D sculpts, it's probably a better view. The ones on the ones on top feel a little bit soft, whereas the sculpt themselves has a little bit more detail in it.
I tell you the one thing I would use the Killer Crew for, though.
Yeah,
I would use them for like a kill team type, you know.
Oh yeah, yep.
Like, you know, as a proxy, like, yeah, I've got, you know, the chainsaw, Texas Chainsaw guy, Michael Myers, Ghostface, Jason? Yes, Jason.
Yes.
It feels so weird to say that name since I sit here with two Jasons and I don't call him Jason.
I don't know if I really have a preference. I mean, in the world of Spectre Miniatures, the police probably makes a little bit more sense than a gang that's dressed up in masks. But it depends on what the scenario is that you're playing, I suppose. In saying that I haven't played this, I just know what sort of game it's supposed to be. So, I mean, in movies, you see this sort of stuff where everybody grabs clown masks or everybody grabs, like, you do see that in movies quite a bit, which is clearly what they're trying to reference here. So it's nice to have options. Options are good. All right, let's move on. George actually pointed this first one out last week. Or the week before, but we missed it.
I thought this was kind of cool because I think this is a great use of Games Workshop licensing. Display, they do metal posters, which, first of all, that's kind of cool. Like, you know, it's a little more of a tactile kind of object. But some of the artwork they're doing on these posters love Games Workshop or hate them, this artwork is phenomenal.
And I will say
Espe-
this: Displate are known for like bringing more stuff out in waves. So the fact that we have this many options so early on, actually, this has even grown since the first time I've seen it. Like somewhere in here, here we go. There's a Death Company one, which is so easily one that you would think that they would forget about.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that too, because one of the ones that you don't see is a Space Wolves.
I thought I had seen a Space Wolf one. I could be wrong.
But the ones that really caught my attention is like the
there is
chapter...
a Space Wolves one.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, Champions of Fenris. It's just kind of like a logo.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. Like some of these, like the chapter, herald, the symbols that you put on the shields, starts with the H.
Heraldry.
Heraldry. There we go. That is the word. The ones that are just a heraldry, like those, like it's just so they look so great in my opinion.
I like the fact that like they've not just copied and pasted the logo. They've made the logo a version of their own, which makes it more of an art piece. Like I used the example of the Death Company one earlier. Like the Death Company logo is just a red cross on a black background, right? It's kind of dull.
Oh yeah.
But
The
that
Champions
Death
of
Company
Fenris one. That's a new one from when I've looked last. I haven't seen this one before.
No, they've definitely added to this.
Oh yeah, now there's a Custodes one even?
Yeah, there's at least twice here than what there was originally.
Wow.
These guys have been busy. And I don't imagine that they're going to stop anytime soon. Like, the more options they have, the more they will sell, so...
Well, and here's the other great thing, too.
They have a wide
price
variety
point on these is very, very nice, in my opinion.
They have a very good reputation for the quality that they come out with. What were you saying, Socks? They have
huge variety of different. I mean, it's not just Warhammer that they have. They have D&D. They have Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty. I mean, they've got movies and comics. I mean, it just a huge.
Well, they even have the great wave off of Kamigawa, which my favorite piece of artwork. Period. And they've put it in the like they do some great stuff, but like I said, I brought these up and wanted to mention these because they've done a great justice to the Warhammer universe. The only thing I could say is, where's the Age of Sigmar stuff?
I was wondering that myself, actually. I suspect that we will probably get Old World first. That's my guess, because Old World is about to come out, and therefore you would push while it's popular.
Yeah.
Not that it'll come out till next year, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But I just think there's
I suspect that they'll be holding off on the Age of Sigmar stuff until the new edition comes out.
That's fair. But yeah, I saw these and I was like, ooh, I might want to get like one or two of these if they have the right one for my stuff.
Yeah.
Which they do have a Space Wolf now, so damn it.
Oh.
I'm just gonna open up just one of them randomly. I've opened up the Howling Banshee one. Or sorry, the Aldari Phoenix Lord one. And they're $49. And that's just plain. You can add frames and stuff to them as well. Like these are metal posters for those that are not aware that go onto your wall. Like you get a plate and it just sticks to the wall. Like these things. It's a really cool idea. Actually, in saying that, there's a sale on it at the moment. So that $49 might be the sale price. I don't know. That's weird. You can also buy bigger ones if you want to buy a bigger one. But let's move on. We also had a release this week of them talking about everything you need to know about, I'm going to say epic, but Legions Imperialis. Gaming on a new scale. So, they've been covering off the rules over the last few weeks. This is giving us an idea of what's coming in the box, and this is looking like a really big box set. I am imagining that this is going to be another thing that's going to sell very well. Whether it gets played is another question. Like there's been people wanting Epic to come back for a very long time. I was on the fence of saying that I didn't think it was going to happen, but hey, here it is. I think it's a good-looking box set, honestly. By the look of it, it looks like this is something that you could split between two people, or just build it for yourself, which is the way that it should be getting sold. From here, it's just a matter of, obviously, what they continue to expand with. You would hope that this is something that they continue to expand and not just be a one-off release type thing. But that'll be time.
So having been around since 3rd edition, and having seen some of the stuff, I could see why they're calling it something different, because this looks vastly superior to what Epic looked like. The other thing too is, if I remember correctly, Epic scale of 40K, and this is also based on Horus Heresy here for this.
Yeah. This is a different scale too. Epic was 6 mil, and I believe that this is going to be 10 mil scale. Could be wrong.
Which and going off that too, like with Drop Zone being on that 10 mil scale, I think that's a better scale than going. I mean, you start getting too small, and it's getting to the point of like, why bother? Just play with cardboard tokens at that point.
Well, there are people that prefer to play with miniatures even at that scale, but
well, they're wrong.
I am not one of those people. You will have people on the internet fight you over this conversation.
Yeah, well,
you're not a real gamer if you don't play with small minis. I'm not one of those people.
The people that like that 6 mil stuff are those old timey, authentic, historical war gamers that they're lame.
So Epic is 15 mil.
Oh,
Epic
really?
Was 15 mil.
Yeah.
Oh. Wait, the new one or the old one?
The new one.
15. Okay, so I was wrong. The old one was
my
6.
Gettysburg. Yeah, my Gettysburg set is about 13, 15 mil.
Yeah. We also have a look at Rogel Dawn. So Joy Toy are showing off some of their newer stuff that's coming. Rogel Dawn is one of their next ones coming. And I think he looks very pretty. I mean, he should look pretty. It's Rogel Dawn. I don't really have any other opinions on Rogel Dawn, but it does look very pretty. I don't think it looks quite as good as the Lion, but I do think it looks good.
The Lion, they're doing it based off of the the new Lion. This Rogel Dorn is being based off of the old Rogel Dorn.
Well, they haven't redone Rogel Dawn, so.
But that's what I'm saying though, is the Lion is the new concept. He's got the beard, he's got the Lannister look. He's very updated. I mean, here's my other complaint about Rogel Dorn too. What's this chapter? The Imperial Fists. What's the Imperial Fists? They're yellow. Why is he gold?
I assume because they were gold originally. I'm making an assumption though.
Well,
because there's a lot of factions. There's a lot of factions that aren't actually the color they used to be, right?
That's fair. Well, I mean, the Ultramarines are still blue. The Space Wolves went from just a gray to that ridiculous sky blue or whatever you want to call it. And I mean, that's fair, but it's just I always thought it was odd that like. I don't know, let me look. I want to say, like, even looking at some of the Forge World stuff, like the Imperial Fists were yellow and he's gold. Like, I never understood why he was, and
so
maybe it's because he was in charge of. Oh my God, I can't look because Games Workshop website still just sucks, and there's still a queue for me to get in there to look at stuff.
Yeah, in other news, Games Workshop's website in the US is stuffed right now. And it's all because of the next article. Because everybody wants to buy the Christmas bundles.
Oh, they're already half sold out now.
Yeah, that's all right. We're still going to talk about them.
Well, no, it's not, because the one I wanted is sold out.
Everybody feels sorry for George. What did you want to buy, George?
What do you think I wanted to buy?
Goblin.
The same thing I wanted to buy until someone like decided to like, you know, do some BS behind my back and, you know, whatnot.
Okay.
The Leagues of Votann.
Ah, okay. Right. Now I know what you're talking about. Yep. Okay. So, it's another year, so we're getting more Christmas boxes. First and foremost, these Christmas boxes are continually not being as good as the year prior. There's still value there, but it's not the same sort of value that you used to get, and it's just getting more and more obvious that way. So we have the Exalted of the Red Angel, which is a really nice looking set. We also have the Onslaught Swarm, which is, I think that's kind of just kind of dull. Spearhead Force is kind of dull as well. The Beast Snagger is a nice looking set. They're not the orcs that I like, but it is a nice looking set. I think the Leagues of Votann is probably the prettiest of the 40k ones right now.
Well, so just look at this. I can actually give you a quick breakdown. So the box is $230 US. That breaks down with what's in the box. The big rover is free, and that's $100 mini.
Yep.
So, just to give you and all the boxes, Fohammer did a full breakdown article on both these and the Sigmar ones, and on average, it was right around $100, savings value on all the boxes. So
yeah, so it's not the sort of value that you used to get, but they are still good value. The Canadian Space Force, Canadian Defence Force is another. If you like Canadians, obviously it's another good one. I suspect that most people are going to own everything in this box already, though, to be fair. The Vangorian Court kind of feels like it was this. I could be wrong, but I kind of feel like this was the same box last year. I could be wrong though. But there was definitely a Counts box last year, but I don't know if it was exactly that. The Warhorde of Eternus is your Chaos one. Not a bad looking box. We also have the Primordial Star Host. That's probably the only box that's genuinely tempting me. I'm not buying it, but it is a genuinely tempting one. And then we've got the Praetorian Spearhead, which is, if you like the
undead.
Yeah, there's a specific name for them though. These aren't Marmite though. People either love them or they hate them. It's just one of those things.
It's the Nagash's crew of undead.
Yeah, the one where they're built out of multiple bodies and none of them kind of like it's a sci-fi undead, but in a fantasy game.
Yeah. Now that being said, the Praetorian Spearhead, you get yourself a Nagash and you got yourself a nice little starter army there, in my opinion.
Of all of the boxes, the Lizardman is probably my personal favorite, just because a lot of this stuff is stuff that I've been tempted by anyway. I'm not buying it, but because Lord knows I don't need more miniatures I'm not going to get around to painting. But yeah, that's it from a Games Workshop perspective. I mean, they've got merch that's happening this year. There's festive gifts. There is the Christmas calendar. What do you call them? Where you get like 24 days counting down to Christmas.
Advent calendar.
Advent calendar. Thank you. And it seems to come with pins, which is interesting.
Boy, now I feel less bad about not knowing the word heraldry after you don't know what an advent calendar is.
That's okay. I can at least say the word advent now. You still can't say the word heraldry. Christmas baubles, if you're a Christmas bauble fan. So yeah, there's lots and lots of stuff there.
So real quick, actually, at the time of recording, so 6:58 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, the Games Workshop site is a 404 down when I try to look for it. So good job, Games Workshop. Way to launch like a pre-sale for box sets and have your website go down. Let me give you a round of applause for that.
This is what you
go
get
back to your old website, your old host. Yeah,
at the time of recording, this is what you're looking at.
Yeah, go back to your old web host and website. That actually worked.
Moving on. MiniWarGaming. MiniWarGaming have been in this sphere for as long a Beast of War, maybe the same time, maybe almost as long. I don't know who came first. I think Beast of War might have actually been first, but I don't think it was by much. Last year, I believe it was, when they released their own series of miniatures, which all looked very pretty. They're back again this year with not just more miniatures. We're getting 2 completely different factions this year, but they're actually releasing a rule set as well to go with them. So they are 100% just going all in on a game of their own. It doesn't really surprise me that somebody that's been around for as long as they have been able to pull off a decent looking miniature, because they're going to have all of the contacts to be able to achieve that. And it's not. Like
have you seen the dwarves?
They are one of the ones that's in there.
Those are some of the most beautiful dwarves I have seen. Period.
They are gorgeous. Yeah, Colonel Trax is just stunning.
Oh, yeah, he screams, just legendary dwarf lord.
Yeah. So the sale pitch for the original miniature was that they were miniatures that you could use in your sci-fi games. Like, they were just alternate miniatures. And these could be used that way as well. But this is, because it was that successful and there was that many people that asked, they basically went, well, if people want it, there's money there, let's just do our own game. And honestly, it looks really pretty. I mean, there's no way of knowing really how it plays at this point. Well, I mean, there are videos, but you're not really going to know until it's out.
Speaking of money, that is quite the
the all-in pledge is huge.
Price.
Yeah, all-in price. Yeah.
Which, they're showing regular retail is going to be $1,500. So
it's a lot of stuff in it, though. But you don't have to buy everything. You can just buy the pledge for the one you want.
That's fair. But so I mean, they're saying it's a $500 savings, but that is quite the I mean, and I understand how much this stuff costs. Like, there's the time in making the sculpts, and you got to have a minimal order quantity and all that stuff. But that's a sticker shock right there.
Yeah. Now, in saying that, you're looking at 119 for the base pledge of whichever faction it is that you want. It is also probably worth noting that all of these miniatures are PVC, so that will turn some people off. It just depends on what you want out of a miniature. Like, you get a lot of detail in PVC, but it can be annoying to work with, especially if you get mold lines that you have to clean up and stuff. It's just irritating because you kind of have to cut the PVC mold lines away. You can't just scrape it.
Did you see how much the Whims of the Gods pledge is?
Whims of the Gods. Let me have a look.
All the way at the bottom.
I'm guessing that it's big.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's
the whole thing.
Oh, it's literally everything plus. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bruce, look, it comes with 60 dice that'll roll like crap for you.
That's okay.
So this is something that is really big if you want to go there. It just depends on what you're after. I think it looks really pretty. It's not something I'm backing. And price has nothing to do with that. It's just not something that it really... I just thought it was really interesting to see. I like seeing somebody roll the dice.
And that.
Yeah. Look.
Oh my god. If you scroll further on down, they have a durability test of the PVC miniatures. A tire versus a mini.
Well, it's PVC. The miniature's going to hold up. It's fine.
Yes, but the comedy of, they're testing running over one of these miniatures with a car tire.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's just hilarious. On a scale of 1 to 10, like, these are literally some of the best miniatures I have seen.
They do look really nice. I will say, first and foremost, that I'm not a fan of PVC miniatures, just because, the annoyances that are there, which is fine. There are no such thing as perfect miniatures. Every form has its problems. But the frustrations I personally find from PVC outweigh how good they look. If it was me, I would just paint them and I'd leave the mold lines on. That is 100% what I would do, personally. And because I don't want to do that, I won't buy them. Although, like, I'm not saying, like, I like seeing somebody roll the dice and be successful. Like, don't make no mistake. Yes, these guys have a huge following. But producing a game of your own is a massive risk. You only have to look at the history of it to see how many companies have gone out of business, how many people have overestimated what they could achieve.
Yeah. No, I'm going to mention this, and this is not me saying anything about like what they're attempting to do, but so the initial goal was $40,000.
Yep.
And they've raised, almost $680,000. That seems like if you look at the big all-in, that's like, $1,500 at this crowdfunding price, not the full retail, which I think is, what is it, $2,600?
Like that.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
$2,700. Those numbers seem a little askew there to me.
Well, it depends on what people are backing for. I mean, there's going to be people that'll be throwing in extra for the add-ons and stuff.
Oh no, I don't doubt that, but it's just like, if you look at the number of things they're trying to produce, and what they asked for, like those numbers seem a little skewed.
So I assume that you're referring to, like, if they wanted to make this much, it would be impossible to do that for $40,000, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like,
there is a fairly common strategy on.
No, I say
Kickstarter. I know it's not Kickstarter, where you underpledge, hoping that it'll be enough to get people in, and then.
I understand that, Bruce. I understand what you're saying, but even still, like, look at their what they have right now, that almost 680,000. That still seems like it's a little short of everything they're wanting to try to do there.
PVC is also cheaper to produce too.
That's fair too. So,
which also goes to support something you were saying earlier too. Like, they are cheaper to produce. It doesn't mean that it's an easy hit and run though. Like, in theory, this should be a very easy way for them to make money, but that doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, we've seen it fail before, so.
Yeah.
But I wish them all the best. Like I said, it's very interesting. I just thought it was an interesting thing to look at. My favorite in them is probably the bugs. Just because, I mean, they still remind me of everything bugs-wise. Of anything, they kind of remind me of what's the one where Tom Cruise is like going back in time again and again and again and again and again.
Day After Tomorrow or something like that.
Yeah, it reminds me of them. I mean, they don't really look like them, but that's what it reminds me of for some stupid reason.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I just, they're the ones that grab me. I mean, the dwarves are, look, it's space dwarves, and like there is different like space marine type things. This is the one that genuinely looks like something of its own. So,
yeah, I mean, well, it's like, yes, they're space dwarves, but they look like very traditional space dwarves of like they've begrudgingly like updated, their technology enough to exist and operate in space while staying very traditional to their ways in the mountain and whatnot.
Yeah, look, I don't say I don't like them. I'm just saying that I prefer the other one.
Well, no, that's what I like about them is like they've made them look futuristic and sci-fi as minimalistically as possible, while still making them look like a traditional dwarf.
Have you seen the Dreadnought?
No.
IWD Ambassador.
Where's that at?
A little bit over halfway. It's the last of the dwarfs that they show you.
Last of the dwarves they show you. Let me just do this. What is it? What?
IWD Ambassador. Searching for it's not going to help. It's a picture, not text. So you're going past. You have the Immortals.
Well, I found the game box, so I clicked on the game box. Oh hell yeah! Oh hell yeah!
That looks like something straight out of the live action Transformers movie. And I mean that in a good way.
And you look at that, and you still know that, that is supposed to be dwarven.
Yep. I mean, you can see the mustache.
Oh my!
It's really well done. They have that. Whoever it is that they've got doing their sculpts, they have found the right person. It's really, really well done. Moving on. We haven't looked at Sarissa Precision for a little bit, but I really like this prison. I think this prison looks fantastic.
Is it like the ones they built in Australia?
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know. I've never been to one. It reminds me of all of
You're
the ones.
You're in Australia, Bruce. You're in one.
I love the fact that you continue to go on about that. But hey, let's talk about that for a second, shall we? You guys were founded under almost exactly the same way. Or at least part of you were. You guys were a prison too. You just like to forget about it.
Well, not all of it. Also, we had a couple different countries, kind of fighting over the land too. So,
well, that is true. So this is a prison. I mean, to me, this just looks like a prison. I don't know if prisons really look that different anywhere, honestly. I know there are some fairly unique ones in like the Netherlands and in Germany and stuff, but most prisons just look like the square cement boxes, right?
Okay, to be fair, I don't know if I'd call a prison in the Netherlands a prison. I've seen YouTube videos. Some of those are like, really? I'll commit a crime in the Netherlands. That's fine. No, I mean, yeah, a prison's a pretty simple thing. It's like you just need a wall to keep people in. They don't need windows. You need a observation point to keep an eye on everyone. The requirements are fairly universal and fairly simple. It's hard to not make a good looking prison miniature like this, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this is also, like, this is screaming, like, you buy 4 of these, and then in the middle of them is the yard, right? Like, that is very clearly what they're designing here, because this is just the corner of a prison. At least in my eyes, anyway.
Yeah. No, I can see it.
I would say, like, maybe have, like, another little section to, like, go in between the 4 corners to make it a little bigger of a yard.
You can also buy the prison towers as just a tower as well. That either you would put in the center or around the outsides of the wall or something to help break it up as well.
Yeah.
Also, if you look through the pictures, the doors actually slide open like they do in a real prison. Like this.
Nice.
So they're not just fixed, they actually are designed to open.
Do you know why they open like that, Bruce?
So that you can't wedge your foot in and keep them closed?
No, so you can't hide behind it.
Oh, yeah, that works.
An ambush.
Yeah, true. Yep, that's a good point. While we're here, let's click on the prison tower. Look, it is a tower that is for a prison. That's pretty much all there is to say about it. I would probably argue that you wouldn't even have to use this as a prison tower. This is very easily a military outpost.
Yeah.
It's just like most towers in the modern day are just like, that's all they are. They're towers. So it's
even a fire outlook tower that you'd see up in like the Pacific Northwest before the advent of satellite and crap like that.
Yeah, all you need to do is surround it by trees. That's a good point. And you got instant horror scenario. Look, don't look back. I found another reason to use it. $29. And what was the other one? That was like 70 something, right? 82. This really good value.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least, the last story of the day. Bullet hole dice.
Dice that won't roll for Bryce. Won't roll for Bruce.
This is a really silly concept. I just thought it was fun. I'm sure that there are other people out there doing bullet hole dice, but I just thought it was fun. I also kind of like a whole bunch. Oh yeah, I also like the fact that, let's be fair, there's going to be people out there looking at these, and the fact that the pictures don't look right are really going to irritate them. Especially when you have like none of them are the same. In that picture alone, there's 2 different versions of how the 6 is drawn.
And I could see at least 2 different versions of 4.
Yep.
There's 3 different versions of 6s. Because there's the 2 straight ones, there's one that's a little bowed, and then there's another one that's like a whole circle around the face of the dice. The top right corner.
That top right one.
He's right, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, because I'm looking at the one side,
with the
one
curve.
on the front left. Yep. Then there's one behind it that looks like it's the same as the one that's in the back right. Yeah, so there's at least 4 different versions of the
3 or 4, yeah.
These are printed too, so like there's no etching in that. This is all printed, so.
Oh.
Which means they will eventually scratch off. But in saying that, I don't know, I like them. I mean, in saying that, it's also $15 for 6 dice. I just thought they were fun. And that was the only reason I shared it. There's also new rural America houses there that you can see down the bottom that I thought were interesting. The Woodbury house in particular, I've never seen somebody do that style of house before. I know they exist. I've just never seen somebody actually do one in miniature form. Because usually it's the cliche American house with like the pointed roof.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we're going to skip the indie this week. Shall we discuss some hobby?
Trim, glue, prime, paint.
What have you been up to, Socks?
So I went up to Orlando to play a game of Dystopian Wars with a guy that started getting his stuff up there, and before I ran up there, started working on my island terrain. So I gotta finish the buildings on there.
Are these ones? Are these theirs? Are these?
These are there.
Yep.
Yeah, these are war cradles. So all I did is I just primed them and then did a Wraithbone base coat.
Yep.
And then a bunch of browns and kind of a black contrast paint, and that's all I've done on them. And then some dark gray for the buildings themselves.
Yep.
That's all I've done on them so far. And then started working on my Valhalla today.
Nice.
Where are you putting the barcode?
Probably on the back, underneath.
It's supposed to be on the flight deck, Socks.
It's supposed to be on the front so that when it comes in, they can be scanned.
Scanned and maybe in.
We have told you have to do this. It's not optional.
I know that. Anyways, that's what I've been up to.
Nice. What about
Bruce?
What about yourself, George?
Well, I got this in the mail. I don't know how well I'm holding this on camera since I can't see myself right now.
No, that's pretty much square on.
So, it's the commemorative series, like limited edition, like it's to celebrate whatever 25 years of Warhammer, whatever. It's my very first Votann Mini.
Nice.
Because I am going to get a Votann army one way or another. That's why I'm very, very salty about Games Workshop website right now. And when I say salty, I'm talking about like, a salt crusted lake.
Can I make a suggestion?
Like, muck. Yeah.
You should see if Valhalla Hobby have sold out of their allocation yet.
That's fair. I might check that out. But I got this and I started thinking about ideas of paint schemes, and I'm gonna make them look like dwarven space construction workers. That's why I was asking about
that's the reason you're asking about the bright blue colors. Neon color. Yep.
Yeah, and do the gray like the reflective material. So I think that would be a very good, unique look for an army. And I know I've griped in the past of like, no, my space wolves are like dark and grungy because like, light blue is not tactical. That's not tactical. That's going to get you shot at. No, I'm going to do these as like the space construction force, and they follow OSHA, and they wear their safety vests and their high-vis hats and all that junk.
I really like this idea. And just because it really annoyed me at the time, I'm just going to say, when somebody's talking about fluoro and the person giving advice is like, yes, but this is a different kettle of fish. That doesn't help. Don't ignore them and then repeat the same information 3 times.
So, and then I got my paint shaker a few years ago, and I thought it worked pretty cool and everything, and it was all right, but it wasn't quite cutting it sometimes. So I did get myself a new one, and it's one of the normal, vortex ones. You stick it in here and it shakes.
Yeah. Isn't that what your
old
here's
one
the
cool
was?
thing about? No, mine was it actually shook it up and down.
Oh, okay.
But here's the cool part about this one. This one, it's a USB-C plug-in.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Nice.
So if I have a big enough battery pack, I can take this with me somewhere and run it off a battery pack on a table somewhere.
Nice.
And I want to say it was more than reasonable. Let me go to my history here. I want to say it was very reasonable at a mere... pulling it up right now. $30.
Nice.
Yeah, that's very
bad.
reasonable.
Right?
Where'd you get it from? I need to get one.
Amazon.
I figured. All right.
So, where else am I going to get stuff when I live in the middle of nowhere and it takes me
That's
an hour
true.
and a half to get anywhere to go shopping?
That's true.
Because what do I have to go shop at? Walmart.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I really haven't been doing too much because I am studying for a test on the 20th.
Fun.
No, not fun.
Yes. Bruce, what have you been doing? I know what you've been doing. You've been playing with a new light.
I have, actually, yes. I was about to say people on the YouTube channel will already know that, but no, they won't because the video's not live yet. It is, however, on Patreon, and you should support us on Patreon. I've also been working on this. For those watching the video edition of the podcast, it looks very different today. This is something else I've been doing. Hobby-wise, honestly, I haven't really been doing anything. There's reasons behind that I won't discuss. But there is something else that I've been part of. George, wheel backwards and look on top of your paint station.
Oh, I see it now.
Grab that box.
It's on top of my airbrush thing.
Yes, I told you this. I told you this, George, so that you can look at it and turn around and look back at the computer again.
Oh,
grab the box.
Hold on a sec. Bless it. Valhalla Hobby sold out of their boxes too.
That's too bad.
I am highly disappointed now. Don't open until instructed. Fragile. No shaky shake.
You can open it.
Am I supposed to know what fragile is?
Fragile.
Fragile. It's French for...
Oh, fragile. Okay, never mind. I thought he said Fred Geely, and I was like, I don't know who that is.
No, see, it's Fragile.
Oh, she literally wrote Fragile. Oh, nice. So, for those unaware, it was Veterans Day in the US.
Currently, as we are recording.
So it's Marine's birthday.
Yeah, that was right.
This is not always, but it's usually when we do something for George.
You're welcome, George.
Thanks. That's just what I needed for my pile of shame as another game.
It was going to be one of two things. The other guys talked me into doing this because they felt like if we do it this way you can actually play with Sam.
That's fair.
As opposed to the other way, which is the obvious, what you would be thinking of. There would be minis that you would paint but never actually have a chance to use.
I'm not gonna lie. Our last episode when we were talking about Bushido, I spent a good 20 minutes not paying attention to a thing you said, Bruce. Searching for like, when are the foxes available? Where can I buy them? I'm not gonna lie.
I had them in the shopping cart. In the shopping cart, and I was buying them when they told me not to. That's how close it got.
Oh wow.
Yes.
So hindsight 2020. This is awesome because yes, like this is something that Sam and I'm not going to look into this too much because I could record this later on.
Also, there's a video on the channel that you can watch already. Ben's unboxed this for us.
Oh, has he? Okay, well then never mind.
Yeah.
I have to say this is a pretty small starter box.
Yeah.
In the realm of starter boxes, I'm kind of shocked at that. But yeah, no, but both choices would have been good. Oh, these look. Oh hell, I do have my reading glasses on.
So for those that are George, pick the box up and point it at the camera, just so that people could see what you were actually looking at.
Oh yeah, sorry.
It's the 2-player starter set from Bushido. So there was either going to be this or it was going to be the Foxes. We chose this so that he had something else to play with Sam, because we felt that that was a smarter idea. As much as I know that he wants the Foxes, the guys were right. The Foxes is something that would be pretty, but he would never use. So
yeah, it'd just be models sitting on a shelf. We figured you could play
like everything else I have.
Right.
When so now you can go and buy the Foxes and then use those Foxes while Sam plays with these.
Into the game. Yes. And now you have something that you can. Yes. So you and Sam can now paint these together as well.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
If listeners and viewers haven't figured this out, we are the worst enablers of each other that have existed.
Yes. Because you two got me Dystopian Wars. We're not getting you Bushido, George.
I can't say I can blame you for any of my purchases. You guys have bought stuff for stuff that I was doing, but you've never bought me stuff that I wasn't already playing.
All right, that's going to change next year.
That's not why I said that, but because you bought me the jail, which is the piece of terrain that I can use for pretty much anything. And then you bought me the terrain for Entropy City, which was obvious.
And to be fair, to be fair with the Entropy City terrain, Bruce, we decided to go with that the templates for that because building and designing your own game is a huge undertaking, and so we thought it was better to alleviate your wallet a little bit with that instead of giving you something else to put money into.
Well, also, I really don't need more games that I'm not going to play. I have too many already. George doesn't know what too many games are.
Neither do I.
Oh, you definitely don't. In comparison to us two, you are a good boy.
Me?
Yes.
You haven't seen my bookshelves out there that are full of... I have 5 bookshelves that are all board games.
You can't see
my main room.
You can't see half the games because my gaming tables kept blocking them.
Yeah. Otherwise, I bought some Transformers recently, but that's not really on subject. Let's move on to game talk.
You didn't get the transforming Grimlock, did you?
No, I didn't have time to deal with that.
Oh, that's first gen.
Ultra Magnus.
Yes. Yeah, I could not remember. Yeah, it's he was like the other semi that like you could put around Optimus for the Gen 1s.
Game talk. That button.
Talk nerdy to me.
This episode's game talk
nerdy to me, Bruce.
Well, I don't know how much I can really contribute to this conversation. I think this is largely going to be you two, honestly. I mean, I've got some thoughts, but this was more of me wondering if this is something that makes much of a difference or not. So, you two, like, you've spent time in the military. We've never been secret about that. Sox is still in the military. I mean, he sits at a desk. It's the closest to military that you can get in the case of an Air Force person. But...
Thanks, Bruce.
Anytime. You know I have nothing but respect for the fact that you do no work and you sit in 6-star hotels all the time.
Oh, they've been upgraded to 6 now, huh?
It was always 6-star hotels.
I thought it was 5. Anyways.
No, it was a 5-star tent.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So my thought was, like, military minds, when it comes to, like, building an army or customizing an army, building like a fictional world's army, does it actually make a difference? Does it help? Does it hinder? Because there's something to be said for, like, once you're in the military, you always think about the way that they want you to think. Does that help you in building a fictional army because you know what would happen? Or does it hurt because, well, this isn't real and therefore, I don't know, just different ways people think. I mean, I know that the answer is, well, it depends on the person, but I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting point of conversation.
So, and we could have a great little like dual insight on this because I was enlisted, meaning I worked for a living, and I mean this in the most honest way possible.
This is the most military thing you could say. Let's be frank.
And Socks is a commissioned officer, meaning he's the one making the decisions and literally sitting at the desk. The enlisted guy is out there doing the work. So and there's two schools to that. So there's the overall tactic of playing the game and how things should look and work, right? And I don't know if Socks has gone through and done this yet, because I know there's a certain level of being in the military as an officer where you're trained to stop thinking about them as people and start thinking about them as resources that can be used. Versus where I was at, this is so-and-so, this is so-and-so, these are my people. I have to do what I have to do to keep them alive. And sometimes, like, when you're looking at playing the game, like, that can really affect like, I can't lose this unit, I need to keep them. Versus at a certain level of officer training, where it's like, this unit is designed to go in here and die, so this unit can do this. And this is not like, for disregard of human life. This is like, this is how it's been done for centuries of, nations winning wars. I mean, that's, you have to look at that at some point. Like generals, like, I can lose this unit of 500, so this unit of 1,000 can go in and just wipe out everything else. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
And from my standpoint, like, I don't want bright and flashy. That's why my Space Wolves are gray and muted, because that's more tactical. And I do find myself in a situation of trying to lose as little as possible, because I was taught to make sure I don't leave anyone behind.
Yeah. Yep. No, that makes sense.
So that's where I'm coming from on this. So for me in my position, it kind of actually hinders a lot. Like, sometimes my mentality doesn't let me, do what needs to be done. Socks.
Building off what you were saying just for a second. I think, I mean, and this is not entirely on topic. It's more on topic of what you were saying. I think to some extent, the thing that people forget about what you're discussing about how you care about the people, and in theory, Socks doesn't, is that because you think that way, he doesn't have to, which means he can do his job better. He doesn't need to worry about the people because you're doing your job.
Well, and that's why always an officer usually always, I would say, 95% of the time, Socks, you have a senior enlisted advisor that's attached to your hip.
Yeah, as a brand new lieutenant, I was told to go find the best E7, E8 and learn from them. So
completely unrelated topic too. In tradition, all enlisted refer to an officer as sir and not by their rank.
Yeah.
Yep.
Except for if you are an E7 or above, you are allowed to and permitted to call an O2 and lower. I don't think O3s, but O2 and lower. So first and second lieutenants, E7s are allowed to refer to them as Mr. and not Sir in an educational situation.
That's new for me. That might be an American thing, perhaps.
Well, and it's also funny watching the senior E7 saying, Mr. So-and-so, please come into my office, and shut the door behind you.
I like that. What were you going to say, Socks?
So going back to what George was talking about, the combat casualties. As an officer, I still want to make sure my people are taken care of and they have the resources that they need. But George is right. If there's a way that we can greatly assist or enhance our ability to get stuff done, we're going to try and do whatever we can. I mean, George is absolutely right. And so I think it can kind of help a little bit in my aspect from the officer side of, I want to build a force like this, and I'm going to have, this is going to be my special tactics force that's going to have this one sole mission. They're going to be the ones that's going to go in and actually complete the objective.
And then you'll have your chaff, which will be...
I'll have my chaff.
Yeah.
That'll just be, who cares about them?
Yeah, so I mean, and like I said, it's like, I think it's great that we have like both perspectives of that, because and I'll say that when I first really finally started to break that mentality was with Drop Fleet Commander. Actually, it was the frigate group for Shaltari, the one with the microwave arrays that are just stupidly overpowered, and they got nerfed within like 3 months of the game launching. I can't remember what they were, but I ran a full unit of 6 of those, and my goal with those was to push them in as hard as fast as I can, shoot with them as many times as possible, and inflict as much damage without caring what happened to them. Because they were just 6 little frigates, and they could do a huge impact right off the bat, and after that, it was all up to the big guns to get it done.
That makes sense.
So,
Socks, as someone that's been painting fleets lately and having to come up with paint with actual fleet colors, would you say it's had any impact at all? I'm guessing, because I know you've been asking for advice and thoughts and stuff, but has your background helped with that at all, or would you say not at all? I'm guessing not much.
I think a little bit. When I've been doing my Victory at Sea, my actual historical World War II stuff, knowing the history and the background of how Navy ships were painted back then, that has definitely helped. But for this stuff that's all steampunkish, I think it's helped at the same time, because I'm just like, I don't want to do the typical gray or the typical navy grays, and that's about it. I want to have some flashy ships, because this is steampunk. This is supposed to be made to look a little cool, and
so it's helped you by knowing what to ignore, basically.
Yeah.
So, and Socks, that's why historical gaming is inferior, because if you step out of line on historical, you get mocked and made fun of.
If I ever go historical, well, outside of the pirate game, if I ever build a historical fleet, I am deliberately going as far out of the way as I can, just so that I can watch the skin crawl on my opponents.
Crawl on everybody else.
Warren from Beast of War back in the day built a full Flames of War army, and he had it being led by the Red Skull. And it was all painted to be a fictional army. Like he went that on purpose, because he just wasn't interested. He was interested in the game at that stage, but he didn't really like historical wargaming, so he made it his own. He has very much changed his tone since then. He actually really likes historical wargaming now.
No, I will say this though, like, if not knowing a lot of like the comic book history, if you look at how they did First Avenger,
oh yeah,
like even the Red Skull and his stuff still went with the Nazi theme. Like it,
yeah.
If that was to actually like you put a Photoshop that into an actual like photo, it wouldn't look out of place.
No,
to be fair. So I'll give him some credit of playing with it and having fun.
Yeah,
because I bet if you really looked at it, it still looked all right.
Yeah, and going back to the historicals for my American Civil War stuff, I picked up this book that's just artwork of uniforms.
Yep.
That's all it is. That way I can kind of, when I build my regiments, right now I'm focusing mostly on dystopian wars.
Well, but and to be fair with that too, Socks, if you look at the Civil War, that was such a disarray of mishmash on both sides.
It was.
Because you had some Union forces that looked like, they were literally going on parade, but they were going to go fight. And then you had, people in the South where it's just like, I've got a gray armband on. That's all I've got. Like, close enough.
Yeah, I've got brown pants and a red shirt, and this is what I got, because this is what I came from the farmhouse with, pretty much.
Yeah.
because they didn't have uniforms to begin with, and so.
So, and to go back to what you asked Socks there. So for me, like, it also has helped me too, because, again, he's in the Air Force, completely different than the Marines. And in the Marines, like, no one looks different in the Marines. Like, everyone looks the same.
Everybody has the same haircut.
Although everyone has the
military
same
general.
Well, no. I mean, Socks is the exception there with that beautiful hairstyle right there. He'd fit in the Marines with that haircut really well. Oh, so here's a fun little thing, right? Socks. If I call you an airman, that's a little inappropriate, right? You're an officer. You're an Air Force officer, right?
Yes.
We've done
the same
it before.
goes for the Army.
The
same goes for the Navy, right? There's sailors and there's soldiers, but that doesn't include the officer ranks. They're officers. They're different. They're special. If you call a Marine officer a Marine, he's not going to give two craps because he is a Marine.
All I wondered where you were going.
Yeah. So from my perspective, like, the grunt is no different than the 06 officer. They've both been through the same kind of crap, the same kind of suck. They know how to do same basic things, and they are at the core of it the same kind of person. So when I go through and do an army, everything is the same. Like, yes, one will have a slight marking to denounce that they are this, but that's it. Like, everything is the same across the board. We with the exception of the fancy dress stuff, everyone has the same uniform across the board. Air Force. How about you? You got the same uniforms across the board?
Yes.
Well, there are more differences than, but yeah, it's the and that varies from branch to branch. And so, like, when I'm doing my Space Marines, like, it's so much more fitting for me because they should all be the same.
Yeah.
There's no now. If you look at and we're just doing Games Workshop because there's the most diversity. Imperial Guard.
Yep.
The commissars look nothing like the regular troops. Why? Because they're the commissar.
Yeah.
So there's that there too.
They're also drawing from a different point of military history too, though.
But if it's not so much now, but if you look at, like, and we only have the experience with the U.S. militaries for the most part, but if you look at other countries, you get to a certain point, and those officers, they have a drastic different look from
which is what I was
the rest of. Yeah. So
Australia is probably closer to America. Well, I mean, we're closer to the UK than you guys, but UK tend to go around the same way uniform-wise as well. Like, the officers might have slightly prettier out uniforms, but it still looks like it belongs. It's not a completely different look like the commissars are. But if you go back to where that's being drawn in, like, World War II-ish type area, like those parts of the world, the grunts and the officers did not mix, and they were dressed differently, because you will know that I'm more important than you. It was a point of bribery, not bribery, a point of bragging, of I am more than you are.
Well, and that also depends too. So this is a little bit of a history lesson too. So in the Marines, and this is just me speaking my branch history. Officers on the dress white hat that everyone knows what a Marines in dress uniform, that white hat. Officers have a braiding on top of their hat.
Oh, okay.
And that helped to identify them on the decks of ships from sharpshooters shooting down onto the deck. It made it easier to identify the officers of, oh, he's, needs help. Let me target his, combatant.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense.
So there's things like that too, that, just those little things. But it's also white, so it doesn't stand out. It's not flashy and showy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what about, like, George, with your Space Wolves? Did you make your own version of the Space Wolves, or are they just Space Wolves?
They're just Space Wolves. Okay. I just took the liberty of Light blue is not tactical. Light blue stands out against the snow or, most average, whatever. They're not flying in the sky. So, in the whole, how do you not get shot? Well, you don't stand out. So, they're dark, they're gritty, they're grimy. I still have the contrast to make them look and pop, they've got red power swords and, they got the good contrast. I've got them on white snow bases, so they pop from their terrain. But they're not baby blue or sky blue or whatever the color.
Yeah.
I understand what Imperial Fists just make me hurt. Oh, look, I'm in yellow. You can't. I understand this is fantasy, but there's to the point too of why do you wear a yellow belt when you run, Socks, so people can see you and not hit you?
Yep.
In reverse, if you're wearing a yellow belt in the field, someone's going to be able to see you and pop you right here a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's that same concept. I understand it's a fantasy game and we're playing it to have fun, but I want to put some realism to it, some thought of they look like this, so you can't see them. And for an opponent to not see this, tac squad or Marines because they're the same color as the game board, that's kind of the point too.
Yeah,
yes, they're three-dimensional. You could see them if you look, but to not see them at a glance because they're camouflaged in with the scenery, that's how it should be. You should be paying attention to your, not what my Votown are going to be of they're neon green with gray shoulder pads and hazard stripings of caution, warning, look out. I mean, yes, I'm going to do that because I want that look for them, but it's that whole mindset of stuff, I think.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense.
The other thing I'm going to point out here too is some hardcore military guys, and Socks, you could probably really appreciate this. They'll look at this oh, this is going to be an important unit. I need 5 of them. And they're absolute trash because that's not how the game plays.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yep. Yeah.
So, what are you going to want? Oh, I need 5 units of grunts because they're going to be able to go in, surround, take a building. Forget the fact that, oh, hey, this dreadnought just walked through 3 units of them.
Yeah. But that's a learning curve. That's a learning curve too.
That's the mindset of things though too. Of everything supports the infantry. Everything Socks does supports infantry to go in and get something done, and for that to not translate across sometimes, with the exclusion of historical games, that's another one of those learning curve things too, in my opinion. So
yeah. No, fair enough. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting topic. There's probably other aspects, you could go into, and this is why I was asking about your Space Wolves. You can go into, does it affect how you built your lore and stuff? It probably would if you had have done your own version of the fleet, or if you made your own
I am not creative or imaginative enough to come up with my own backstory like that. I have the creativity of a potato, so I will paint and make it look cool and good to what I think, and usually that's the limit of my creativity.
That's fair.
What planet did they come from? I don't know. What does it say in the book?
Yeah.
That's...
I mean, I don't know if you've really played anything, Socks, that would have... I mean, in theory, I guess you could with the Dystopian Wars, but you're not far into it enough to have really thought that far ahead yet, I would think. And Drop Fleet doesn't really encourage... making storyline...
Making my own game.
And, no, not so much your own game.
Oh, stories.
For example, you were playing PHR in Drop Fleet, right? Well, I'm no longer just PHR. It's specifically... I've made my own version of PHR, and this is their backstory. You're not far enough into Dystopian Wars where you would have even considered that.
No, but in when I was playing Drop Zone Commander, I painted mine up as the Comanche tribe paint scheme from the books.
Yep.
So
right, but I think what Bruce is trying to say, your PHR, they come from this specific corner of the Sahara Desert. And so with that, they honor their, with these colors and this, blah, blah, that's that kind of specific backstory. The whole concept of...
Did your real life
chapters
influence the goal?
Yeah.
It sounds like it was just from the book. Yeah. That's all right. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. I was just curious.
Yeah, I think what Bruce was saying is like, in theory, there's 20 chapters of Space Marines.
Yes.
But Primarch 2 and Primarch 16 or something like that, they've been expunged from the record because they did something really bad that all record of their existence has been erased. And the reason why you will never find out about those two is Games Workshop has left that as for people to create their own chapter, their own backstory, their own
whatever,
as their custom faction.
Doesn't stop people from trying to figure out who they are, though. Even though there is no point doing that because there is no information about them. Everybody continues to try to find information about them.
So actually, there's one really good working theory, and Games Workshop just flat out said, "No, this is not."
Is this the twin theory one?
No, this is Sigmar, Age of Sigmar.
Oh yes,
the god Sigmar was a Primarch. Which, if you go through some of the Age of Sigmar lore, you would think, oh, he sounds just like a Primarch. Oh, he must be one of the Primarchs. That gained so much traction. The Games Workshop was like, no, these are two entirely different realms. They are not related. Sigmar is not one of the Lost Primarchs.
Yeah.
It gained so much traction that they actually did come out and say that. So,
no, fair enough. It was a very fun theory. We should move on to upcoming events.
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
Melbourne Figures Painters Collective. They meet on the last Sunday of every month, so it's not for a couple of weeks at this stage. But on the last Sunday of this month, you can meet up at the Kathleen Syme Library. It's at 251 Faraday Street in Carlton from 12 till 5 p.m. I don't know if I won't be there because I won't be in the state because that's the weekend I'm away. Speaking of, I'm not here next episode, folks.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're right. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say because of that, and with the American Thanksgiving holiday happening that weekend, we have collectively decided that we are just not going to record that weekend. I'm okay with that trend, being the fact that for the United States, it is a weekend that you should spend with family and friends and not worry about other things. So,
we'll think it and not say it. I will think it and not say it.
That being said, though, if you were available, I'd still be down for recording, Bruce. I'm not, but
yeah, I will with the holiday and your
I
have
so
no way of doing it.
But yeah, so we're just not going to worry about that. Apologies, but whatever.
Danger Close, the Drop Zone Commander tournament is coming up on the 28th of January next year. 1,750 points, taking place at the Bristol Gaming Collective in the UK. They have removed the reference to Hot LZ on the page, which is interesting. I'm guessing that somebody told him the reference that I made. He wasn't involved in Hot LZ, so
I will say this though. I think Danger Close is a great alternative.
Oh no, Danger Close was already there. That was already what it was called. That's just
was it? Oh,
yeah.
These guys have quarterly events that these happen quite regularly. The most recent one was in September. My theory is that it was just a reference back to something that maybe they remember, or maybe something that got them into the tournament or something. I don't know. I just found it interesting at the time. The Warhost official Dystopian Wars Escalation League is continuing. Yep. I know you're at 2,000 points. You've got 2 weeks left? 3 weeks left?
About 3 weeks left.
Yeah.
And on the 29th, we're going to be doing a huge, massive team game, where we're going to have 1,000 fleet list per player, and we're going to play on a 12x4 foot board or a 8x6. We're trying to decide on what size board we want to play on. Nice. So I'll get some pictures and post them up. But yeah, but then in January, we're going to have a tournament as soon as I can lock down a date. So
nice. You should definitely tell us about that when it's happening.
Yep.
And on Thanksgiving weekend, well, for the US, there is Northern King Kong, which is from the 24th till the 26th of November. It's in Ossett, West Yorkshire. £55. It includes a hot lunch on Saturday and Sunday. That's very close at this point, honestly.
That's right around the corner.
Yep.
Yeah, like, quite literally. Thank you very much to Valhalla Hobby for sponsoring us. Like, seriously, there's so many things that we wouldn't be able to do if these guys didn't support us. Like, we wouldn't have gettingtabled.com, for example. If you want to get more information about any of the stories that we have discussed on this episode, the website will always have the links to the most recent episode. So keep an eye on that. There will be links in the show notes so that you can find that. Valhalla Hobby have all of your big games. They definitely have your Games Workshop stuff. They definitely have your D&D stuff. They definitely have your Magic the Gathering stuff. But they have a lot of niche games as well. They have Bushido. It's where we bought that game for George. It's where we got the Dystopian Wars for Socks. They have Moonstone. They have Black Site Studios. They have smaller TCG card games. They have almost everything. And if they don't have it in stock, they can find it for you. They do have a website. Yep.
I was going to say, there's only been like a couple of things where I've been like, oh, hey, I just found it. Where I've searched their site and I haven't been able to find it. I mean, they've even got the Army Painter, like, mega all-in speed paint set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like virtually everything I've searched for, they have. I was actually just looking for the Fox faction for Bushido on the site, and I just now found it. So,
wait, they have the speed paint in. I didn't think they carried Army Painter.
Yeah.
Weird. He told me fibs. Anyway, like they literally have. There was the previous episode before, where there was the recall. I pointed it out to him just in case he needed to know, and he was like, "No, we don't carry them." But he might have been talking specifically about the spray paints, perhaps. I don't know.
I think it was specifically talking about the spray paints.
Spray paint.
I'm searching it right now because I was going to order this the complete speed paint set for Army Painter.
Yep.
From him. But now I'm looking right now.
If you have things you would like to look at, you should go to valhallahobby.com, and if you use GT2305, you will get 5% off any order over $100. Segways. Socks, where can people find us?
Find us all over the place. Patreon.com/gettingtabled. Our website is gettingtable.com. Our Facebook group is facebook.com/gettingtabled, and YouTube is youtube.com/gettingtabled. And then if you want to email us, our email is gettingtable@gmail.com. And then you can find us on X or Twitter, formerly or now X, at gettingtabled, and Instagram at gettingtabled. And then Jason the Bruce has his own Twitch TV at twitch.tv/Jason the Bruce. And then his now new toy reel at youtube.com/toyreel.
Yep. Which is more action figures and stuff rather than wargaming. But if you have a crossover into that area of the world, feel free to check us out. There was an episode, was it last week? There was a live episode recently where we actually covered a lot of the Joy Toy Warhammer action figures. So if you want to have a closer look at some of those, definitely an episode to have a look at. Thank you, folks. Thank you very much, George. Thank you very much, Major Socks. Apologies to those that was looking forward to the original plan. If you want to get more information as to why that didn't happen, it's on our Facebook group. We will not be discussing it. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Real quick, actually, I want to talk about one other thing real quick. The skink.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let me get back to him.
What do we want? Because I know you're. You want to wait till 2024 to tackle that again, Bruce?
It's not happening this year. I don't have time.
Fair enough. All right.
I was gonna say you got your test you're studying for, and I think with the holidays it's gonna be kind of crazy too. So I think 2024 is a good.
I have to take the test on Monday the 20th, and then I have 4 days off.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying there.
Hence why he's trying to throw us into stress so that he can take advantage. Also, isn't yours almost finished anyway?
Absolutely not. I've only got maybe an hour into it. Like, I've just started like the base coloring on it.
Yeah, I've got about an hour myself.
I wasn't even that far in. I have built it and it was cleaned up. But
slight teaser though. When we do get back into this, we will have a fourth entry on that as well. So
yes, Thunderboy will be joining us.
Yep.
Hit the thing, George.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.